So along that grand journey, now is a stop in resiliency.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about talk a little bit about how that opportunity came about. Maybe how we talked about it, how you think about it, and just help everybody understand kind of what it is and kind of what you think the catalyst for us dedicating one of our most senior leaders, most recently risk leaders, but super diverse, well-experienced leaders in the bank to something called resiliency.
So I think we've declared resilience as a priority for the organization for the last few years. It's been one of the four, and I think there was a lot of work being done sort of under the umbrella of resilience in a couple of different areas, well, actually in a lot of different areas around the bank. Certainly in tech and cyber is sort of the leaders in the space. But I think what we realized, and sort of how I originally got introduced to this, was there wasn't sort of a central function that was bringing it together. Mm-hmm. And the expectations now are such that we really need to be able to demonstrate that we're thinking about this holistically, comprehensively. You can pick your adjectives, yep. but we needed to be able to actually build a program that would support everything that's happening throughout the organization under this umbrella of resilience, which, by the way, is sort of a new word to label so much of what we already did, plus bring in some new capabilities.
Yep. What do you think? We've talked a fair amount about it. There's an inside perspective, but there's like a growing kind of articulation of an outside perspective as well. How do you think about those two things when we think about resilience?
Yeah, there are a lot of perspectives, and I mean, just you look across the industry, you talk to peer groups, you talk to regulators, and everybody's got sort of a slightly different flavor of what they think it is.
But they're using the word.
But they're using the word, and
more often.
So sort of a funny story. It's as often happens when you move into a new role that's sort of undefined and nobody's really done it before. People start to bend that role to suit their own mm-hmm. needs. So I got a phone call from a buddy of mine a couple of weeks ago. He was at the Buffalo airport, and he called me and said, "Hey, the ATM here just ate my card. This feels like a resilience problem."
Feels like a resilience problem.
And
Venmo me some money.
And just because of a strong sense of ownership, I actually did take care of it, which is not an invitation for people to call me with their ATM problems. But
you heard it here.
But this is what happens.
Brady will be really happy that now you are the help desk for ATM.
Yeah, I'll leave my cell phone number. We can scroll it across the bottom of this thing or something. But yeah, so everybody has their own view of what resilience is. So actually, one of the first things I feel like I need to do is sort of get people talking about it the same way, because we can't have it be everything to everybody. And from a true, well, actually, I should say from the most commonly accepted definition of it right now is when we talk about resiliency, we're talking about the things that are the absolute most important to the bank.
Yep.
And which is hard, because even that is subjective. But we need to think about it in terms of what is the most important thing, or what are the most important things that we do, what are the most important services that we provide, largely externally facing, that if they stopped, could we destabilize the financial system? If they stopped, could we threaten the health and safety of the bank? Or if we stopped, could we materially harm a large block of our customers? And that allows us then to focus on, all right, so there are a lot of things we do that don't check those three boxes. In fact, most of what we do probably, well, I shouldn't say that. We have there's a small number of services that are very, very important. Then there are a lot of other things that we do that honestly probably don't make that top 10 list. Yep. And that's where there's a bit of an emotional journey for people to get on, because people just naturally think that what they do is the most important.
Yep. And so we've had what you and I have talked about, and I may need better language here, but I think like there are resident inside the bank some classic capabilities, long-standing capabilities that we've had that by themselves and together to a certain extent contribute to our ability to be resilient. I think disaster recovery, business continuity, third-party risk management, some other the capabilities that we have. We moved a couple of those things into one group with naming you the head of the resilience. How do you think about those things, and what do you think their journey and their kind of contribution is to the next evolution of resiliency?
Yeah, so it's all part of the bigger resilience picture. So it's sort of it's sort of different stops along the resilience journey, so to speak, because it's sort of at the beginning of it, you've got really what's prevention, sort of your good risk management practices, your good control practices, all the things you do to try and stop things from happening. But you know things are going to happen. So sort of further down that process flow, for lack of a better word, you have things like your business continuity plans, you have things like your disaster recovery capabilities, you have your crisis management capabilities. And then even beyond that, there are new capabilities that we're going to have to learn in terms of being able to test the functionality of some of the resilience capabilities that we implement. But really, it is the sum of so many things that we already do, to your point. And you know, that work will continue. That work remains every bit as important as it's ever been, because you actually can't stand up a full-fledged resilience program without each of those being healthy.
Yep.